Finally, we can talk about this final scene because prior to that, as we were doing the press tour, at first it was not possible, but now finally we can talk about it. This final scene where all the characters will come together in one single room and each of one will meet his fate. Each character will fulfill his arc, finish his journey. We approached it with one camera. The idea was to embrace Paul's perspective on this, and there was like an evolution on Paul's ways of fighting through the fight, where at first he fights like an Atreides with his movements, and the more the fight evolves, the more he becomes Fremen. The more at the end, he gets closer to Jamis behavior, and that's where he knows his fate. He knows that at a precise moment he's gonna get stabbed. And he knows that's the narrow window, the narrow path he has to walk through to face, to be as close as possible to death in order to survive the violence of this opponent, his nemesis. For me, it was really moving to see the commitment of both actors. This is the first thing they've done in prep, months prior to the shoot. Timothée and Austin, both on each side, started to rehearse the choreography months in advance. It's like 3 or 4 months of rehearsals on each of their side. Finally, landing in Budapest, they met fighting each other, you know? And I think that both of them were excited to see the level of preparation of the opponent. And I think it triggered a kind of competitive feeling, healthy one. I'm very proud of the way they achieved it. For me, when I see commitment like this, you know, as a filmmaker, there's nothing more rewarding than to feel that the people you are working with believe and commit to the movie as much as you do, or even more. There's something about that. When I make a movie, I put my life into it. So when I see that my colleagues are ready to go all the way with me and give everything, it brings tears in my eyes. I mean, it's like that's the joy of filmmaking, the collective act of creativity. And when I feel that energy, it's very rewarding. The art of the tragedy, the way I created the geography of the fight, there's a back and forth between the Emperor and Chani. And Paul, through the fight, is like going back to her, getting away from her, getting back to her. And at the beginning, it starts with a moment a heartbreaking moment where he tells her, I will love you forever. But he will have to leave her, and he will know he will break her heart. And in order for the Fremen tribe, for the Fremen to survive, he will have to walk a path that will go against her political views. And he knows that he will break her heart as a woman, and he will also break her heart as a Fremen, and he will lose her forever. And it's something that is a tragedy of Paul. In the book, Chani is a believer, but having her on the other side of things makes this more tangible, more present dramatically. The stakes are more clear this way. I tried in the third act, Chani has less dialogues, but we are always perceiving Paul's new trajectory through her perspective. And so in this fight, at the end, I tried to sustain that her point of view on things and think her own inner conflict about how she feels about Paul. And there's a last moment, just when he finally was able to win against his opponent, there's I will say the last temptation of Christ. The moment where, for a very last time, there's a last opportunity where he could again make the decision to go with her, but he can't. He has to avenge his father. He has to stand and become the emperor in order to survive, and he will leave her. And it's a heartbreaking moment that still to this day, every time I see it on screen, it gives me shivers. At that moment, Paul has enhanced perception of reality, where his intuitions allow him to perceive what could be the future. So he knows what he's doing, and he knows he doesn't have the choice, but still, he breaks his heart. I have to give a lot of credits to Timothée Chalamet, who did an incredible performance. I knew he would be able to go there. You know, you see him getting more and more and more, having more and more oomph, more taking more and more space. and becoming more and more dominant, and as the movie move forward, and in that scene at the end is like a titan walking straight toward with tremendous amount of authority. And I love when actors can convey just with the way they breathe, the way they move, with the way they look, that in their eyes, the tension that is there without words. It's like that. Those are my favorite moments, and something that again, I know that of course you have Christopher walking in front of Timothée, so I had like two different generation of incredible actors that will confront one each other, and that for me was like pure cinematic pleasure to direct that. Christopher Walken has that kind of he's bigger than life. He has that kind of insane charisma and presence that is just reverberates in all the room. You know, he was the emperor for us, and when he walks in the room, he had that tremendous presence and the tension. I tried to stretch the tension as much as possible between both, until it reached a point where the emperor feels that if he doesn't bow down, he's gonna get stabbed. So it's like Christopher was, you know, it's like we rehearsed that thing for days, and then we were there in the room for days and days and days. So it was like being a part of a play where it's the closest thing to stage theater I've ever done, you know. So there was this, the tension was rising through the days in the room, rising dramatically, I mean, between the characters. And at that precise moment, I think it was very, very precise how both of them were absolutely ready to go there and create that moment that I'm in love with.